I will call the Jordan School District Board meeting to order on June 20th, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Deb Pauley,
Here.
Ryan Dainert,
Here.
Connie Hennon,
Here.
Lauren Pedersen,
Here.
Sarah Lanen,
Here.
Molly Monyak.
Okay, thank you. Public comment, nobody indicated that they wish to speak, so we will move on to the consideration of the agenda. Two items to note: the April 25th workshop meeting that was included in the board packet. We already acted on that, so that's been removed. And we added the May 9th regular meeting, the June 6th special meeting to the packet. So we'll be approving with that changes. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Lauren, is there a second? Connie seconds. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, we have the minutes from the May 9th regular meeting, the May 23rd strat plan and workshop meeting, and the June 6th special meeting. We have the monthly finance reports for June. Donations, we have Mighty Cause Charitable Foundation for the Jordan Elementary School, $45. Thoughtful Marks Harmonics, $220. Melissa St. Michael's Harmonics, $115. Mighty Cause Charitable Foundation, Jordan Elementary School, $95. Dennis and Sherry Schmidt, JHS Music Program, $40. Dale and Amanda Nolden, JHS Music Program, $50. Matt and Kelly Lawrence, JHS Music Program, $20. Anonymous, JHS Music Program, $450. Jerry and Cheryl Langsworth, JHS Music Program, $25. James and Terry Violet, JHS Music Program, $1,000. Kyle and Tammy Randolph, JHS Music Program, $250. Devin Meyer and Polly, JHS Music Program, $20. Leah Holmberg, JHS Music Program, $40. Karen Friery, JHS Music Program, $40, and an anonymous donation to the Jordan Public Schools, $50. We have the renewal of our C membership. C is Schools for Equity and Education, in the amount of $3,018 for the renewal. New hires, we have an elementary school building administrative assistant, Heather Fry, who's at grade 2, step 3, $19.79 an hour. New hire, head girls basketball coach, Kyle Johnson, per Schedule C. We have the retirement of elementary school lunchroom supervisor, Angela Morrison Kaiser, and we do that with thanks. She's been here a long time. She will be missed. We have the resignation of the building and grounds director, Tim Bisick, and also with thanks, he will be missed. Thank you for all your years of service, Tim. Resignation of middle school math teacher, Jennifer Kuski. Resignation of building engineer, Dwayne Rockney, and the resignation of the high school Knowledge Bowl coach, Jerry Langsworth. So I will entertain a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve consent.
Ryan moves. Is there a second? I'll second. Sarah seconds. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Review and act on the 2022-2023 MSHSL contract. Mr. Perkle.
Hello, board. Am I on? Looks like I'm on. Good. So this is our annual resolution to be a part of the Minnesota State High School League. I don't know if we have the fee, probably not on there. Our fee this next year is $7,664.60. Kind of a weird number. Far lower than it's been in the past couple years. With tournaments back on, the league has that funding, that resource, but it's still a little higher than pre-pandemic. But it's very manageable. It's where it's supposed to be. There's a $100 school fee. There's a enrollment fee per participant, $4.60 per participant, and then $160 per activity, which gives us a grand total of that $7,664. Any questions on our membership with Minnesota State High School League? I believe Superintendent Evenson sent you a video that they ask all board members to review.
The Why We Play video
We play video, yeah.
that we're supposed to watch every year. Any questions for Mr. Perkel? Okay. Thank you for your work on that.
Yes.
This is a resolution, so I'm not going to read the whole resolution. I just have a quick question, though, like all the voting positions and representatives, that I presume is all turned in, and we know who that all is, and it's, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, the last thing we have to do just to make sure we're in the league is just get this handed in. So if approved, either Jamie or myself can get that sent into the league, and we'll keep playing this fall, hopefully.
Yay, sounds good. So any more questions or anything? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Lauren moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Okay. Further discussion or questions? Okay. Would you like Lauren to sign that right away so you can?
You know, it's
Take it or-
due end of July.
Oh, so we're good.
So we'll figure it out sometime
Okay.
this week. We'll get it checked off the list. So
Okay, sounds good.
thank you all.
Yep. Okay. Any more discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Ryan Dainert,
Yes, aye.
Connie Hennon,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Sarah Lanen,
Yes.
Deb Pauley.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, resolution relating to proposed property tax abatement for parking lot improvement projects. And tonight, we are very fortunate to have with us Steve Pumper, the Vice President of PMA, and Michael Hart, the Director of Public Finance for PMA Security. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Madam Superintendent. Again, Steve Pumper with PMA Securities. I have Michael Hart with me as well. Michael Hart actually runs our municipal advisor division here in Minnesota for PMA, and so he'll be certainly very critical in getting some of this financing done. We have a presentation for you, or do we not have a presentation for you? Oh, that we're able to open up or no? Oh. Well. Okay, well, we're good on the fly. So then we will just explain. We don't have it on flash drive. Okay, but thanks, Stephen. Do you want me to continue, Renee? Okay. All right. So the school district has been working with Kraus Anderson and staff, Tim and Amy and the superintendent about various improvements. And one of the improvements that they've identified have been parking lots throughout the district. And namely, the parking lots that would be improved by using abatement bonds to finance the projects would be the high school parking lot and expanding the parking lot that you're looking at if you looked out behind you today here at the CERC. So they've identified that with Kraus Anderson, that's just going to be just under $1.4 million worth of parking lot improvements that are needed. So one of the ways that you're able to do that with board approval is by issuing what are called abatement bonds. And the only function that you can use abatement bonds for school districts across the state of Minnesota is to improve parking lots. And so that's what you'll be doing. The way that you actually will be doing this to make this tax levy neutral for your taxpayers is the bonds that were sold back in 2014 to actually renovate the facility we're in right now. We refunded those 3 different times over the starting in 2016, 2017, and 2020. And the savings from those refundings that go back to the taxpayers don't kick in until now, until this coming next tax payable year. So the plan is to use the savings that you're receiving from those 3 issues to then fill in the gap and issue these abatement bonds to be able to pay for the parking lot improvements. So again, your taxpayers should be, it should be a neutral piece for them to do that. The presentation shows, just again to give this in your number, 2016 the refunding savings was 1.4 million. 2017, when you refunded the bonds, that was another 800,000. And in 2020, the last time we refunded your bonds was just under $700,000. So the total savings that you received on those three refundings was $2,890,000. Oh, there we go. So if we go to actually the third page, we'll be on where I'm at right now. So that just shows you that the total savings that you received is $2,890,000. Annually savings of about $310,000. So that's what we'll be doing to fill in the gap to pay for the parking lot improvements. And with that, I'll turn over to Michael to actually take you through the project and the next steps that you'll be voting on tonight.
Okay, so the next slide here shows the tool that we're going to use. It's an abatement bond. As Steve said, it can only be used for parking lots. There are some, with every tool, financing tool, Minnesota statute outlines a process that you have to go through in order to have the authority to enter into the financing. The process for abatement bonds is to hold a public hearing. And so what we're asking you to do tonight, and I'll detail this out, is to set a public hearing at your next board meeting in July. So that's the main piece here. There's some other restrictions that we have to stay within in terms of we've got to be a maximum of 15 years. We're going to look at it as a 5-year financing, so we're within that. But we have to, the use and the purpose of this kind of bond is very narrow. It has to be on parking lots and the safety related issues related to moving traffic and people in and out of your facilities. So if you go to the next slide, I think this is the one that really helps you picture what Steve was discussing in terms of how the savings came into play and how we're going to use that. These bars represent your bond payments for each fiscal year. So the fiscal year 22 and 23 you see there are it's a full blue bar payment. That's your current bond payment. Now, because of the refundings, when they were done, starting in fiscal year 24, you're going to see a reduction there. And so what we're doing, those green bars represent the expected payment on the abatement bond. So we're foregoing the reduction, and so this will be a tax neutral proposal for your taxpayers in your district. Does that picture make sense for you? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a really key piece. The next two slides in here are just a little bit more detail and background. We're expecting to issue about $1.4 million of bonds for a project that's estimated at this time for $1,372,000, and there's about $30,000 of cost of issuing the bonds. And the next slide shows you a projected payment schedule again, over that 5-year period of time, and we're working very closely to match that so we fill in the gap really closely or precisely for you. This next slide shows the calendar of events in terms of process. It's important to do it, to be thinking about this time of year because we're working toward building toward your levy that you'll approve on a preliminary basis before the end of September. And so this will allow us to put this levy in place for your taxes payable in 23. So tonight we're asking you to call for a public hearing to be held on July 11th. I've been working with Amy to facilitate to make a notice be published in your paper. That needs to be done at least 10 days before on July 1st. On July 11th, once the public hearing is held, should the board want to proceed with this bond issue, we'll ask you to approve the abatement and then also authorize the sale of the bonds, which will give us parameters to work within. To proceed forward, we would then work toward a bond sale in the early part of August and come back to the board for final ratification at your August 8th meeting. And proceeds that would be available for the project about September 1st with this timeline, which again allows us to fit within the time frame that's required by the levy. It also allows you, should it work out that you could get some of the, at least pieces of the project completed this summer, you'll have the funding available to do that. The last slide on here is really detailing the action that we're asking of you tonight. Again, we're asking you to call a public hearing, We'll have notice of that public hearing. And then there is a maximum amount of the abatement in the hearing, and the number that's in there is $1.8 million. The reason that that is different than the 1.4 million I showed you a couple slides before is that this is inclusive of both principal and interest on the bonds. And actually, in Minnesota, we levy an extra 5% each year, so it's inclusive of that. And as you may know, interest rate marks have been volatile, so we're including a cushion in there to make sure that that accounts for this. So that's why the number in this notice and on the hearing is 1.8 million. It's inclusive of all the costs of the payment. So we're happy to take any questions about the process, what this looks like, the details here.
I'll open it up to questions. I have a tickle.
So just to kind of clarify what's happened here, there's been a series of refinancings of outstanding bonds that the board has authorized because there's been an advantageous interest rate reduction, right? And so through that, there's a cumulative savings of about $2.8 million, of which we're considering taking $1.8 million effectively and using it for parking lot improvements.
You said it much better than we did.
I'll send you the bill.
Yeah.
Nice recap.
So the 4% coupon rate, that's not locked in. Is that the amount that's going to be variable depending on the day that we
Correct.
close? Okay.
Yes.
So with interest rates, the Fed rate going up, do you anticipate that that's going to jump up?
Well, that 4% would, includes a cushion today.
It does, okay.
But, you know, the Fed raised rates last week and markets did go up last week, especially for short-term rates, which is what we're concerned with here.
Okay.
So,
When would these bonds be issued timeline-wise?
what we have scheduled is the early part of August.
So that's when they would be.
That's when it would be
sold.
locked
Okay,
in.
got it.
And at your meeting in July, we'll ask you to, one of the parameters we'll ask the board to give us is a maximum interest rate that we can work within
Got it.
for the bond sale process.
Other questions? Thoughts? I just think it's a win-win. I mean, it's definitely something that we need to do as a district. I mean, this has been an issue out here. We know the parking lot across the street certainly needs work, and it's a way to do it efficiently and efficiently without a, you know, big impact on our taxpayers.
Yeah, we get it done now, right? I mean, if we kick this can down the road, as we've seen with construction costs, that's gonna be a more costly
Right.
endeavor.
Sarah?
And I just want to be clear, the timeline for the actual work to be done, the funds we could get as early, I mean, looking at the timeline, we could get some yet this summer, right? But what timeline are we looking at?
I can speak to that. For the high school mill and overlay component and the sidewalk work with the ease of access and safe access to sites, we're hoping to get that done this summer. We would take this school year to do some engineering and work to do the circ lot the following summer.
And if I may, Madam Chair, I just want to clarify that even though you won't receive your funds until September 1st, if any of the projects, you know, starts in August and you need to pay those bills, part of the resolution that you'll approve at your July meeting will be called a reimbursement resolution, which just means that if you spend any dollars prior to receiving the funds from the bond, you're able to reimburse your district from the bond proceeds. So the timing won't matter as long as you have cash on hand, you know, to pay your
Okay.
contractors.
Good to know. Other questions? So what you're looking for from us, from me, is to ask for a motion to approve the July 11th. Pardon? Public hearing, thank you. Okay, so I will entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Discussion, further discussion? Okay, this is not a resolution, or is it? It is a resolution. Okay, so then we will need a roll call vote unless you have further questions.
Can I just ask
Yep,
a question?
yep.
Because I have the resolution here. It's the resolution relating to the proposed property tax abatement for parking lot improvements. It doesn't reference the July meeting on here. Is that okay?
You just have the signature page, so the resolution behind that page tells you what the dates are.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I should have probably read that. It's very clear in the other one, the public hearing. The second page is the public hearing piece. It'll be 6:30, July 11th here at the Cirque.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay? Any other questions? If not, roll call, please.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Connie Hennon. Yes. Sarah Lanen,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes,
Ryan Dainert.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you. Okay? That's it. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, review and act on the resolution approving Southwest Metro's long-term facility maintenance 23-24 program budget. Amy. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, so, every year annually, we have to approve a resolution for Southwest Metro to levy our LTFM dollars and our Southwest Metro, or our Safe Schools dollars for them. So there's two resolutions, I just did one executive summary. So the first one, the LTFM dollars for Southwest Metro, it's based on our tuition and our number of students that attend Southwest Metro School, and that money is divided up between the member districts. So for the fiscal year 23-24, because that's how we levy our LTFM dollars, our LTFM dollars that need to go to Southwest Metro is $3,506.09. So that is the first resolution. So how, do you want me to do the other one?
Why don't we, let's act on that first resolution on the long-term facility maintenance one. So we have a resolution requesting us to approve Southwest Metro Intermediate School District's long-term facility maintenance program budget. And this is, it's divvied up between the districts the
Yep.
same way that our career tech and our special ed
Yes.
student formula is.
Yep, and it's divided among the member districts, and it's so they can repair their buildings without having to invoice us separately for each program that our students attend.
So our portion of the $102,065 is the
$3,506, yep,
$6.09.
yep.
So I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Connie moves, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ryan seconds, discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Connie Hennon. Yes. Sarah Lanen,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes.
Ryan Dainert,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen.
Yes.
Motion carries. 7.4, review and act on the resolution approving Southwest Metro 22-23 Safe School Program.
So it's the same concept as the long-term facility maintenance. So overall, the member districts, Southwest Metro is levying $224,400 from its member district. Our portion of that is $7,708.48. Again, it's divided up among the member districts and how many students they have going there. And this is to help pay for their school resource officer and their security systems in the school, and it's just so they don't have to invoice us for every little thing. If we didn't levy for this, they would be invoicing us on our tuition bills.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Ryan, is there a second?
Second.
Connie seconds. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sarah Lanen,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes.
Ryan Dainert,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Connie Hennon.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 7.5, review and act on the resolution approving the Benjamin bus contract. Amy, Superintendent Evenson?
Okay. So, can I talk?
You want me to go or are you gonna
No,
go?
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
So Renee and I met one time with Eric and the owner of Benjamin Bus. I've never met him before. They do a wonderful job for us. Eric is phenomenal. He really goes above and beyond for us. So we came to an agreement, and so the agreement is for a 4.5% increase in the regular transportation for fiscal year '23 and fiscal year '24, and the remaining 2 years in the contract we will discuss at that time. There also, as in years past, there is a fuel escalator in there. So they do have the option to charge us for fuel above and beyond a certain amount, and Eric's been really good about that, so. I am going to recommend that we approve this school board, or this transportation contract for the next 4 years.
So I'll entertain a motion and then we can discuss.
Can I say one more thing? I did, this happened to be right when I was at the Masbo convention, and so I did ask other districts where they landed, and it's all somewhere a lot higher than this, and we're pretty much in the ballpark.
Okay, looking for a motion.
I will make a motion to
Ryan
approve.
moves. Is there a second?
I second it.
Connie seconds. Discussion.
So looking at the contract, it looks like the fuel escalator has been in effect for quite some time at $2.87 a gallon.
Yep, it has. He's just never charged us.
Okay.
And for any of you, like in my business, our contract hauling for our garbage pickup, the fuel escalator has been astronomical. So. But I think, like Amy shared, I think Benjamin Bus has been phenomenal to us. They go above and beyond, and Eric, he's just highly respected, and good company, so. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Deb Pauley,
Yes.
Ryan Danert,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Connie Hennon,
Yes.
Sarah Lehnen.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, review and act on the 22-23 property casual and workers' comp insurance proposal.
It is.
Well, all these things are due before July 1st.
We do.
Okay, so I've met with Dale from Choice Insurance. He is our insurance agent, and he goes out for bids for us among other, among his insurance carriers, and there's some that will bid it and some that won't. There's a big insurance hike. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's okay. So I'm going to start out with our workers' compensation insurance. It went up $4,316 because our mod went up from 1.07 to 1.10, but it wasn't too bad of a drastic hike from this year to next year. So there was a slight increase in that. The district's property and liability insurance increased by $19,252.81. The major reason for that hike was because when there were some companies that wouldn't bid it, and there were some that did. EMC said that our market values were too low on our buildings and facilities, so they wanted to raise that up. So they agreed on an 18% hike for next school year, so our values went up from $113,000 to $154,000, which is, they needed to go up based on the economy, the replacement costs, and everything else, so that that mainly attributed to the main insurance hike. As you can recall, last year we decided to get cyber insurance. Not all companies offer cyber insurance, so last year we went with a company it was called At Bay. At Bay decided not to bid again this year for us, not just for us, but I think for schools as a whole. Stephen Damlow looked through the policy that Dale provided for us. There was two companies. One was CFC and one was Coalition. The main difference between one was a $10,000, what I would call a deductible, and another one was a $50,000 deductible, and we decided to go with the better. It's just better to be safe than sorry. So that was a an insurance hike of $3,622.89 overall. So for our property liability and casual insurance, the insurance premium will be $111,441.97 for the year. The workers' compensation insurance will be $79,539 for the year, and the cyber policy will be $13,369.44 for a total premium for fiscal year 23 of $204,350.41. And we did have some claims this year, but Dale said they really didn't attribute to the insurance hike. It was mainly the market value, that it was just way low. So,
And I think we've all have seen that in the reevaluation of our home valuation. I know we did.
Is it the market value or the replacement cost?
market value.
Is it? Okay.
Because I asked him that, I said, well, what about the replacement cost? And he said, well, you'll get that, but it was the market value that was way low.
Got it.
Amy, is our rental home, is that included
Yes.
in this too? Okay.
Oh, yes, yep.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Ryan moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Okay, discussion, questions?
Other than this is pretty much what we've seen
It's-
too in the areas that we've seen. For us, it was building replacement costs has changed over the last couple of years, and cyber, a lot of companies aren't doing it. A lot of companies paid out a lot of ransom and a lot
Yep.
of claims, and they got out of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And those that are either willing to write policies or,
And-
stayed in it have gone up in premium.
And that was another thing that Stephen looked at, was like the number of days. If we're down the number of days, how they attribute to that, and there was just a lot of information in there. And
Yeah, there's a lot that matters there as far as who you're assigned for, like, your response team, how quickly that happens.
Yes. My sister-in-law worked at Ridgeview when they had their cyber attack, and she had been there many years, and they called her back because she was the only one who knew how to do manual timesheets.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Amy. And on to the 21-22 revised budget.
So can, the PowerPoint one, or the slideshow, Jamie? So, this is the 21-22 revised budget. Next slide. So, first we're gonna talk about the general fund, but not including LTFM dollars and capital dollars. So the revised revenue budget, I'm predicting to be $21,479,697. It's an increase of $1,708,468 from the adopted budget. The reason being was the ESSER funds. We didn't really have them in the, I didn't have them in the adopted budget because we didn't have a plan for them yet. And now we kind of have a plan spread out through mainly this year, but there's some left for next year. So this is what our revenues, I'm predicting it to be. The revised expenditure budget, I'm predicting it to be $21,290,336. It's an increase in our expenditure budget from the adopted budget of $1,634,992. Reason being, there was salary and benefits increase. There was one-to-one devices purchased with additional funds from the FCC, which are shown in the expenditure and the revenue, and these were from COVID dollars that were from the, I call them E-rate dollars, but from the FCC. We were also able to purchase custodial equipment with ESSER 2 funds, and it's an increase in utility costs and just costs in general that have gone up over the year. So for the projection of, at June 30th, 2022, I'm projecting a revenue over expenditures by an estimated $189,361. And the CARES, GEARS, ESSER funds have masked a larger deficit. I'm projecting the unassigned fund balance at June 30 to be $2,934,000. It's an estimated increase of about $214,000. So now let's talk about LTFM and capital dollars. So I'm projecting the revenue to be about $1.1 million and expenditures about $192,000 and I'm sorry, $1,192,000. We did replace the chiller at the high school. We did a lot of parking lot repairs, and there was also some tile work done at the middle school. That attributed to the main expenses. As you know, the student activity account is now in MDE's eyes under Fund 1. So the projected revenue in the SAA account is about $214,000. And this is additional revenue from fees because there were trips this year. There was the Peru trip that is happening now, and also the music activity trip. Expenditures are about $265,000 for an overall fund balance at June 30th of about $57,870.
Amy, do you prefer that we wait and ask questions, or?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, okay. So the student activity funds, though, those are dedicated. That's an in and an out.
It's an in and an out, and a good way to describe it, it's by the kids for the kids.
Yeah.
The kids raise the money, or they pay their fees, and it's mainly for the only ones that are left under our control is Spanish activity, the music activity. There's a couple. The Wolfridge activity is also under there. It's just easier for them to come and get the funds from us.
Okay,
And run it through this way, and it has been that way since I started here.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Any more questions? So the food service fund. So I'm projecting the revenue in the food service fund to be about $1,406,178. This is an increase. This increase is due both to participation numbers for both breakfast and lunch because they're free this year. I'm projecting the expenditures to be about $1,060,000, and the increase in expenditures is due to salaries and benefits and food and supplies. So I'm projecting their fund balance to be about $345,000. And it may look different next year when families have to start paying for it, but I think we have a good starting point when fiscal year 23 starts. The community ed or community service fund, the projected revenue is $1,496,000. It's an increase in revenue due to an increase in participation for kids company and youth rec classes, and also just memberships. The projected expenditures are $1,481,000. It's an increase in expenditures due to more salary and benefits and the cost to run the programs and operational expenses. The projected total fund balance in Fund 4, Fund 4 overall is projected to be about $314,000. The reserve for community education is going to be in the negative about $53,000, but it's gone down. It's $28,000 better than what it was at June 30th, 2021. The ECFB estimated fund balance is about $75,000, and school readiness estimated fund balance is $220,000. That is an estimated $50,000 decrease in fund balance. The debt service fund is the projected revenue is $3,446,000. The projected expenditure is $3,256,000 for an overall fund balance in Fund 7 about $29,842,000, and that's because we have all those funds sitting in escrow to start making the payments when those bond payments come due. The self-insurance fund is our dental fund. We're self-insured. So that projected revenue is about $123,000, and these are premiums that are paid by the staff. The projected expenditure is $122,900, and the projected total fund balance on June 30th is about $56,000. Any questions?
Have we been self-insured on the dental piece forever?
No.
No, that's relatively
I
new?
want to say that maybe started like a year or two after I started.
Okay,
It actually, it works out really, it works out well,
okay, good.
so.
Going back to the, the food
Yep.
services fund.
Yep.
Do we, before COVID, we had a collection agency that we used?
We still use that collection agency.
Okay,
We use that not only for food service, but for anybody that's behind in paying their fees. You know, we
Oh,
give them
okay.
ample opportunities and we contact them. And after so long, if we don't hear anything, that's when we'll get the collection agency involved.
gotcha. Because I'm guessing that that's going to be a challenge for us,
Yep.
for families that have
But
not had to pay.
I really and truly believe all families have to do is notify us.
Mhm.
And we will help them as much as we can.
Yes, absolutely.
And and the educational benefits form will be coming out soon. We just got it from MDE, so Elise is gonna be sending out, communication on that.
And actually, our team met just specifically on this in the last 2 weeks, just to think about how do we scaffold that information for families. You'll notice tonight in my superintendent's report, I'll mention it again. You know, we talked about it in April when we looked at lunch prices. Tonight in my report, Amy's talking about it now. I'm gonna talk about it on the radio on Friday, next Friday, and we're gonna continue with a communication plan, just to make sure it's not catching families off guard.
Okay,
Jamie, can you go
questions?
to the executive summary for the revised budget? So this is just a recap of the PowerPoint. It just basically says all of the revenue and expenditure changes. And then if you scroll down, Jamie, there's all the spreadsheets attached as well for each fund. So the first one, this is the slide with Fund 1, not including the capital and LTFM dollars. Just scroll down just a little bit, Jamie. So you'll see we'll have a revenue over expenditures of 189,000, and below is what I'm projecting our restricted fund balances to be. Can you scroll down just a little more, Jamie? So that's where our unassigned fund balance, I'm projecting it to be about $2.9 million. Yeah. And like, there's a scholarship restricted fund, that's $140,000, that's just always there. And, yeah. And then the next slide, Jamie. So this is the slide for LTFM and capital. A little further, just a little further. So we're gonna overexpend by $44,000, but that's because in this, you know, the revenue and the expenditures, the chiller cost X amount of dollars and was a lot, but you'll notice that I'm projecting us to have about a $93,000 fund balance in the capital and $280,000 in LTFM, which is very purposeful for all of the projects that we have up and coming. Next slide, Jamie. The next one is food service, and that, oh no, I'm sorry, this is the student activity account. And so this is the fund where all of their fees and then the cost of their trips go out of. And this fund itself gets audited a lot, or not audited a lot, but if they pull something out of here, our auditors make sure that it's by the kids, for the kids, and it has a student signature on everything that goes through there. Next slide. So this is the food service fund. You'll see our revenues and expenditures and our surplus, the total fund balance about $360,000. Next fund, Jamie. So this is our community education fund, a little lower, go to the, yep, there. So you can see we'll still be in the negative in the reserve for community education, but the reserve for ECFE is about $75,000 and school readiness is $220,000. So overall fund balance in Fund 4 is $314,000. And the next one is just debt service, and it's all levy dollars, and pretty soon those escrow dollars will be paid out. I think most of that happens in fiscal year 23 or 24. And then this is our dental insurance fund with a positive balance of $56,000. So it's my recommendation that the board approve the revised budget for fiscal year 21-22.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised budget.
Ryan moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Okay, questions? How do you sleep at night?
Depends upon the night. Last night, not so good. No, I'm kidding.
Fund balance is looking good.
Yeah. Yes.
Sleep well at night.
It's getting there.
Nice job on the presentation and
Thank you.
making it understandable and on the graphs and stuff, so really good. Yeah, and considering that we were based, our budget was based on 1,844 students, I believe, so.
Yes.
And we're a few students below that, so
Yep.
good job administering and keeping us, on task. Despite that, I think
Thank you.
it's really good.
Hopefully, we'll get some of those C students back, and that'll make us,
Hopefully,
that'll make me a lot happier.
I hope we get them all back.
I do too.
Great.
So,
Questions for Amy or Renee? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the revised 21-22 budget signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, and on to the 22-23 adopted budget. Our years just kind of all rolled together.
It's Amy's day today, ma'am.
That's June, right?
I don't know, I feel I cut it pretty close this year, so this has to be approved by June 30th. We got 10 days to spare. Okay, so my PowerPoints are pretty much the same. So, for fiscal year 2023. So our general fund, not including LTFM and capital, I'm projecting the revenue to be $20,968,000. Remember, we got a 2% increase from the state aid. There will be some remaining ESSER funds that are not spent in 22 that will be spent in 2023. I'm projecting our enrollment to be 1,866 students. That's going to include K through 12, early childhood special ed, or ECSE, and then also our tuition ed students. And there's about 20 ADMs more than projected at the end of fiscal year 22. And currently, I think we have about 117. We may be up a little more, 120 kindergarten students. So there we go. Next slide. So I'm projecting the expenditures to be $20,758,000. This is dues to salaries and benefits. Agreements, purchase services, there was a decrease, and the majority of that is because a lot of it was from ESSER funds, and we're not gonna have that many expenditures. Projecting less dollars paid to Southwest Metro for C students next year. Also, the supplies, you'll see on my spreadsheets, decrease because we had that major purchase of the devices, and we won't have this year. And a major decrease in equipment purchase because a lot of equipment was purchased last year with ESSER funds as well. So I'm projecting what we know, the information that I have today, will have revenue over expenditures of about $209,000, bringing our unassigned fund balance to $3.1 million at the end of June 30th, 2023.
That's going the right direction.
Yeah. So for LTFM and capital dollars, I'm projecting the revenue to be about 1.2 million. Expenditures at this time about 1,024,000. I'm projecting the capital fund balance to be about 122,000, and I'm kind of a conservative person. I think we should say, I know that there's curriculum needs that are going to be coming up, and so I kind of want to build up that budget. And the LTFM fund balance to be about 443,000, and we're not planning on as many projects for next year, and we're saving for projects in future years. The student activity fund, the projected revenue of about 205,000 projected expenditures of about 163,000, projecting the fund balance to be about 99,000. And trips happening in fiscal year '23 are the Wolfridge, Spanish, and the music trips again.
Where are they going for the Spanish trip in '23?
Last I heard, they were talking about Spain, but I don't know if that's been decided.
Okay.
This year was kind of a catch-up year for trip.
Yeah, I thought it was really quick, that's why. Okay.
So food service, I'm not gonna lie, this one gave me a big, I just don't know where to go. So all I did was I really just compared the revenue that we had prior to 2020 and carried it forward a little bit with a revenue increase. So I'm projecting the revenue to be about 988,000. The meals will not be free next year, and it's really hard to project. I just don't know. I'm projecting the expenditures to be about 978,000. This is a negotiations year for that union, so it's salaries and benefits increase. Supplies, maybe a slight decrease if we don't serve as many meals, and we're not serving we're not serving meals this summer either. And equipment, we have no major equipment purchases that are scheduled to happen. So a projected revenue over expenditures of about $9,899. Community education, I'm projecting the revenue to be about 1.3 million. This includes an increase in fees, memberships, and participation fees, and it does not include the city contribution. And projected expenditures of $1.4 million. So projected overall deficit spending of Fund 4 of about $70,000. So the community ed restricted fund balance will be about a negative 94,000, and it's just going to remain negative. The ECFE of about a positive balance of 100,000, and school readiness a positive balance of 175,000. So the community education fund overall fund balance of a positive $243,000. Debt service, I'm projecting the revenue to be about $3.1 million, and this is all levy dollars. The projected expenditures to be almost the same, and the projected fund balance of $29,836,000. The self-insured dental fund, I'm projecting a fund balance of about $75,067. And that's all I have for that. Any questions?
So I get that the food service budget is a guess, right? Your best guess,
It's a projection.
projection, bordering on guess, given the variables that are involved.
Yes. It's a tough one.
The enrollment, though, you're forecasting an increase, and we're feeling pretty good about that based on kindergarten numbers, which sounds
We
strong
are,
for this time of year.
we've had a lot of families touring this summer. You know, as I shared last week, I mean, we added a first grade section as well. We've had a lot of first graders touring our district. I can't.
And Jamie we do keep a spreadsheet of all the new students, and there's quite a few on that spreadsheet already, so I basically rolled forward, hoping
Okay.
not to lose any, and added the new students on from all the grades, and there's quite a few in elementary.
And then I think
I counted, sorry, Renee.
no, you,
I think
go
I
ahead.
counted today, and there was like 20 new students in elementary.
And we continue to work with our families that explored the online option this last year and continue to reach out to those families to let them know that we'd love to have their students in person. And of course, that's their choice as a family, but especially for our elementary kids, and there are only a few in each grade level. I think the largest group might be our third grade group this year, and I think there were 5 students, and we've already heard from 2 that they're coming back. But even with a few students in each grade level, online, truly, it's a unique scenario if online learning would be best for those young learners. Like, we want those kids to be with us, building those relationships. So we'll continue to communicate with those families. And we've already communicated, we have a place for them, so. And to clarify what that means for us financially, right now, for those students that attend C, We keep their levy dollars, the $742, but the rest of the money that we get for those students goes to Southwest Metro. So also a benefit of having those kids back with us. Obviously, number one, the best place for them would be in person with us academically, but also financially, there's a benefit to having those students back, providing that educational service for them.
Jamie, can you go to the executive summary for the adopted budget? And then scroll down to the spreadsheets. So again, this is just the brief summary, and then attached are the spreadsheets for each fund, showing where I'm guessing we're gonna end up. So, yep, this is Fund 1, so if you scroll down a little bit, Jamie. So I'm projecting a little bit more, right there. So like our gifted and talented reserve is growing, our capital reserve, or that's not on a different one. And if you scroll down just a little bit more, Jamie, I'm predicting our fund balance to be, unassigned fund balance to be $3.1 million. Next slide, or next page. So this is the capital, a little bit further, Jamie, a little bit further. A little bit further. So this is where I'm predicting the capital reserved to be about 122,000 and the LTFM dollars to be 443,000, hoping to build up that LTFM dollars in case any more major projects come up. School activity fund, that's for our trips, so I'm predicting that fund balance to be about $99,720. And next is the food service, where I'm going to predict we're going to be at about $370,000. And I'm hoping a lot of kids eat. I mean, the food is good, so I think we'll be fine.
Do we expect to have a good communication strategy to the public to let them know that lunch is not free anymore, breakfast is not free anymore?
Yeah, that's what I was referencing a little bit ago in the meeting. We had a team meeting a couple of weeks ago where we really talked through, because it is a barrier, I think, for some families, and just to make sure that we are sharing that information in a variety of ways. Of course, the first time we did that was in the April board meeting. Not everybody gets that information. Tonight, in my superintendent's report, I'll be mentioning that as well. We have my regular radio interview for KCHK next Friday. That'll be a talking point as well. Elise and team have also mapped out, written communications that can go to family social media communications. And our educational benefits form isn't available until after July 1st. So we're targeting it for right after that window opening up so that we can start that piece. Plus it'll be at all of our open house events as well. For our families. So we want to make sure that they hear it or have opportunities multiple ways and times to hear that so that it's not a big surprise.
This slide shows our Fund 4 overall. So overall, Fund 4 will have a balance of $243,000. Debt service with the huge escrow, money held in escrow to be about $29,800,000. And then the dental insurance, or the self-insured dental fund, about $75,067. So it's my recommendation that the board approve this adopted budget.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the 22-23 proposed budget.
Motion to approve.
Lauren moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ryan seconds. Okay, discussion, questions? Thoughts? Again, good job.
Thank you.
Yes.
The
No
fund
que-
balance is going in the right direction.
Yes,
It is. That's good to see.
for sure. Okay, all those in favor of approving the proposed 22-23 budget signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Okay, terms and conditions, unaffiliated directors, Superintendent Evenson.
Chair Polly, members of the board, for this next section, I'll be referencing items 7.9, 710, 711, 712, and 713, and that relates to the most recent round of terms and conditions contracts that our board negotiators have negotiated. Couple of things just to take note whenever we look at negotiating terms and conditions. A couple of priorities I think are important to note. One would be that we always look at the market value for those positions. We take a look at comparable districts that are very similar to Jordan as well to make sure that the salaries are in alignment with what you would typically see with districts our size, student populations our size, the needs that we have, as well as what the market rate for those positions typically are. Another priority that we've had, I think, with the board negotiating team and myself as we've moved through contracts this year, is really working to streamline for efficiency. We found that we had a number of contracts, all well written. Almost all of them said the exact same thing, but we had like 20 documents that said almost the exact same thing. And so we worked really hard with this round to streamline and with those components. So, this round, you'll look at 7.9. That's the terms and conditions for unaffiliated directors. If you remember, when we did our last round with directors, we noted that there were 3 more directors that were just on a different cycle, different years, and again, very similar. So what we did with this one is we met individually with those members. It was the director of special programs, director of community education, and then our child nutrition director as well, nutrition services. We added them to this set of terms and conditions. All the language was the same. We simply needed to add their name and their salary reflective on that salary page. Additionally, we were able to take a look at 710, which was the terms and conditions for the kids company coordinator. We had terms and conditions for our district equity and outreach specialists. Again, we looked at comparables. We looked at what was the typical increase or benefit package increase across contracts and made sure to streamline that. With the terms and conditions for kids company and circ front desk, that was probably the most significant shift because we found that there were a handful of paraprofessionals that were actually in that working agreement document and not with the rest of the paras, and we didn't feel like that made a lot of sense. So you'll note item 713 is the terms and condition for paraprofessionals. We took that handful of paraprofessionals and moved them to the paraprofessional terms and conditions. Made the most sense. So reflective of that, all of those individuals had an opportunity to ask questions, find out, what their salary increases would look like. Again, all of them were aligned to the market value and comparable increases that other bargaining groups got. I want to thank the board members. We have Lauren and Ryan and Deb that dedicated a lot of time to do these individual meetings and to help really work through that. But I think it was a really successful process because I feel like we are actively working to, again, attract and retain our staff. One way to do that is to make sure they have really good salaries and benefits that really reflect the work that they do and are comparable to districts our size and the market value. So with that, I would open it up to any questions.
Any questions? Okay, we'll vote on each of these individually. So the first one we'll vote on is 7.9, the terms and conditions for the unaffiliated directors contract as shown on page 141 in your packet. So I will entertain a motion to approve those contracts.
Motion to approve.
Ryan moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Okay, discussion or questions? I think it's important to note that a couple of these, we needed to do a little right sizing. So I think the contracts are very fair and are reflective of the industries that they serve. So we have a motion and a second. Further questions or comments? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 7.10, terms and conditions for the kids company coordinator, that's Pam Going. I'll entertain a motion to approve her contract.
Motion to approve.
Ryan moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Amy and Tim. Have a good night. Terms and conditions for the District Equity and Outreach Specialist, that's Malik Peer. I'll entertain a motion to approve his contract.
Motion to approve.
Ryan moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 7.12, terms and conditions, Kids Company and Circ Front Desk, per schedule, their schedule and their contract. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Lauren moves. Is there a second? Connie seconds. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And 7.13 was strictly an informational item. We don't have to vote on that. Just as Superintendent Evenson noted, that we just move those paras into the para contract. Okay. And with that, we will move on to the board and administrative reports. Superintendent Evenson.
All right, Chair Polly, members of the board, the first part of my report just outlines that we have one more special meeting yet with our strategic planning, and that will be on the 27th. And that is a special meeting where Gail Gilman will work with you as a board and then me as superintendent, so we can get started on aligning our goals to the draft strategic plan. Just wanted to give a shout out. I can't believe we're in the middle of June. Just an end of the year school update. I have to tell you, our staff finished strong and our kids did too. They were phenomenal. I can't say enough about the hard work that our staff did just to make sure our kids had really memorable and special end of the year. There was still really good rigor and focus on academics when I was in the classrooms. And I'm really proud. I think our kids and staff knocked it out of the park to end the year. You would be proud too. I do want to note, as we've talked a little bit about the back to school piece, I just want to remind our families that the school lunches for the upcoming year will not be free, but we do encourage our families, when they receive the communication on educational benefits, that they do complete that. Regardless of income, we'd ask everybody to just submit that because it helps us. That information helps us in a variety of ways. We have a nice visual that we'll share with families too, just to show exactly how that information can benefit the families too. So we encourage our families to look for that educational benefits form. It'll be coming sometime after the 1st of July. I will say too, updated meal prices and all of that will be included in the back to school information that families will get, so they can start to plan ahead as well. We just, again, don't want this to be a surprise for our families. I want to provide a grant update. So when you think about some of the grants that were made available during the COVID-19 pandemic, one of them was a testing grant. We did use that testing grant to buy tests so that our staff could test when they wanted to test, but there were other funds available within that. And sometimes when they put out a grant, there are other ways and uses for those grant funds. One of those ways was for air and ventilation systems. So we applied through this Minnesota testing grant, and we were able to get 15 destratification fans for our CERC. So actually 12 for the CERC and 3 TBD. We're not sure where those will go yet. But when you Google destratification, it talks about, as the air goes up into the ceiling, this pushes that warm air back down, and it really helps with the airflow of the building. So we were able to utilize those grant funds to do that, which really preserves our LTFM dollars. So it's a really good deal for us. I know NAC has been here, and Tim has been working with them even today to get started on installation of those fans. I do have some important dates listed. We have our leadership retreat on Thursday. I know we have a handful of or a few board members, we don't have a quorum, but a few board members that will be joining us for that leadership retreat as we're planning for back to school and really looking at our facilities. We also, as I mentioned, on the 27th from 4 to 6, we will have that time with Gail Gilman, and then we will move into a work session at 6:30, so there will be a little gap between again, so I apologize for that. But the work session will start at 6:30. And then, of course, our regular board meeting in July will be busy as well. So, any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and you had an opportunity to review all the other board or administrative reports. Any comments or questions on any of them? Okay, then I will move on to our committee reports. And I don't think we had a heck of a lot of meetings. Community Ed Rec, Lauren, did you meet, or Sarah?
Yes, we did meet. There was 3 of us at the meeting. It was me, Stephen, and then Albright, last name Albright. Yeah, that's it. It was really a good meeting. Talked about the increase in the memberships and how we're slowly getting back to where we were pre-COVID. And then he talked about a lot of the programming that we have, and we have a lot of participation from the students. And then he focused also on youth soccer. There's a relationship that he's working on with somebody within the community that's newer to the community to help expand youth soccer. So overall, it was a really good meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, curriculum, we didn't meet, did we? No, we didn't. Facilities, that meeting was, I
It was
think,
the-
huh?
It was the day after our last workshop.
Okay,
I looked.
then Ryan obviously remembers.
No, I have a calendar that told me about the fly here. As I recall, we met about facilities. We talked about some of the field space and deficiencies there, what options we might have. Soccer fields, again, seems to be an acute pain point for us. Talked about the parking lot stuff that we discussed a little bit this evening and what we're going to be able to do there to alleviate both inconvenience and safety issues, I would say, at the CERC, as well as the high school lots. And then finally, we met with Kraus Anderson and we discussed, as we have the last several meetings, facilities maintenance, where we are in the various buildings, the challenges we have at the elementary school, and the fact that construction costs are not getting any cheaper.
Right. And I believe that that'll be part of the discussion on Thursday morning with the admin team. Kraus Anderson will be there, and we'll be talking through some of that stuff again, so. Good, thank you, Ryan. On negotiations, Lauren, Ryan?
We just voted on,
Okay.
it was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically what Renee recapped was everything that we worked through and voted on just now.
Mhm. And it was very amicable and,
yeah.
Very
And
well.
this and other contracts, we've definitely done a good job of cleaning them up.
Yes.
Right, consolidating,
Mhm.
and getting consistent language across groups, so.
yeah, it'll
been
make
good.
things moving forward much easier, so that's good, thank you. Policy has not met. APAC, they did meet, Sandy was on that, but they did have a meeting. Were you there?
I was at a different meeting, but I believe when they met, they've been looking at the bylaws and making sure that they are all up to date. And so I know that they met to specifically go through some of that language. And I believe next Thursday, on the 29th, I might have another meeting coming up really shortly on that as well, because they really want to get that cleaned up. They also really have a focus on increasing their membership. Ann's student has graduated, and so we really are hoping to involve families in APAC, and we've just really struggled to get, people will come to the banquet, but it's been a struggle to get them to come and join the meetings for planning. So, but we continue,
Yeah.
to try to engage.
Yeah, Alan's agreed to be the chair of the committee, but, his daughter, I believe, is gonna be a junior next
Junior, I
year, I
think.
think.
Yes.
So,
She's a junior.
yeah, so, the banquet, I know Connie was there, and Sandy was there, myself, was very moving. It was incredible. It's
Yeah.
a great experience, so. Booster Club? Rob can probably speak to that, too.
Yeah, he probably could. The Booster Club met, and it was it's a small and mighty group of very engaged board members and volunteers that do work for the Booster Club. And they're very thorough, and their meetings are very, engaging, and they talk a lot, and they really ask good questions. So, and they organize it very much kind of like we do. They follow Robert's Rules of Orders and everything like that. They had requests, cross-country was there. They approved a new tent for cross-country and hats for cross-country. They did a recap on their monthly gambling and other fundraising opportunities. They really want to focus on not necessarily having the kids do that door-to-door type fundraising, but they're really going for a three-prong approach. One is through their corporate sponsorships, which they are in the middle of renewing, and all of that stuff is underway right now. The second piece is gambling, and then the third piece is they're organizing and talking about having a gala right around the time of homecoming to incorporate it all together and have one big giant formal party. Their communications and marketing fall media guidelines they're gonna start working on, and senior banners. Fast Signs has been really instrumental in getting their senior banners and things like that. So, I mean, it's really a great group of people, and I gotta put a plug out for them that, you know, they need new board members. They need like the younger, the 5th grade parents, the 6th grade parents, the 7th grade parents to start engaging, to get other fresh ideas and more people doing it, because it's really a small but mighty group.
Awesome.
I add,
Yeah.
just because I feel, you did an awesome job, thank you.
Oh.
So what I am hoping to be able to kind of share with all of you guys, as well as community also.
You might wanna get your mic.
Now, I'll talk to you guys about it. Or,
The public.
So the three-pronged approach, we're getting to a point now where we're wanting to be able to continue to build momentum and engagement, and we're talking about significant dollars. So for corporate memberships right now, we're north of $50,000 per year, and we want to be able to sustain that. This year, we're going to come in for gambling at $65,000 a year. And then for this gala, we're hoping to be able to raise about another $40,000. So we're at the point where the last 2 years, we've been able to fundraise $100,000 each year. We're hoping to be able to get to the $150,000 mark, and we think that we can actually even get higher. We do have new leadership in place, so we are actively kind of passing the baton, but a lot of the officers are still staying in place, so we have a new president. We also think that there's opportunities to engage other foundation groups. So we have Jenny Carline is now a new board member. She's the president of the Education Fund. So we think that there's some synergy opportunities there. The whole piece to this, though, is that we're still a small town. The corporate members that we're going for, so the organizations, the companies, they're all the same companies. And so we feel that if we can come to a common voice, we approach these individuals in a unified manner, that's the way to be able to maximize their engagement, to maximize their fundraising or their giving. And all of this goes back to the district and goes back to the students. So it's a very kind of clear message. So we're hoping to be able to kind of continue that on. And then at least kind of as it relates to the activities of Booster Club, it's not sports, it's activities. So it's robotics, it's music, it's band, but it's also the sports too. So it's anything that's extracurricular related, and it's anything to enhance the experience of these given activities. So we're not talking about just kind of the stuff that we would be investing in as a district anyway, but it's what can we do to kind of be able to take it to the next level, and where are those dollars that go to the benefit of the program, not the individual. So when Amy was talking about that student activities fund, and specifically talking about Spanish or talking about music, those are fundraising events that are specifically tied to an individual. We can't do that. That's not permissible, so that's why that account is there. But everything else, we have this really, really great opportunity to continue to build upon using Booster Club in very, very close coordination with the district that benefits everybody. So thank you.
Oh, he did that so much better than I did.
I thought it was a good team
That's-
effort, actually.
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I just thank you to the Booster Club for all they've done over the years. I mean, when you think of how far they've come in the few years that they've been in existence, And it's, thanks to leadership like you, Rob and Tina and all those, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Great. Education Foundation. Connie?
We meet tomorrow night. Our last meeting, we put our grams together. Saw them all over the place at grad parties, so that was pretty cool. We also put out our senior signs, and I was on the way to the allergy appointment in Lakeville the other day, and I saw a sign, "My Senior." So they must open and roll, and they had the sign at the end of the driveway, and I really wanted to know who lived there. But it's pretty cool, especially when you went to grad parties and they had their signs out, so that was a cool fundraiser. And the only thing I know is we're thinking about making Purse and Bang Bingo an annual event, so we're working on that. So other than that, not too much.
Great, thank you. Legislative, as you all well know, it looks like there will not be a special session, so actually it's too bad because for part of it, the Senate education, the education things that the Senate had in their bill were pretty incredible. And I've had many people from both sides of the political fence say it's too bad because it really would have benefited education a lot. So, we'll be back to the drawing board next year. So, there's a minute chance that there might be a special session, but it's not looking like it. So I think that we'll probably have to be happy with our 2% and be happy that there was not a lot of mandates also passed down to us, which were not in that bill. So. MSHSL, I had my Region 2 meeting 2 weeks ago. Part of the big talk was the boys volleyball piece, not passing. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. The media portrayed that the high school league board voted and that they lost by 1 vote from the board. That's why it failed. And actually, it never got to the board. It failed at the rep assembly portion of it. So the high school league has many, many layers. It has, your athletic director, your region 2A, your region directors and voters and rep assembly. And so it didn't even pass rep assembly to get to the full high school league board table. So I'm sure it will be back, mixed feelings both ways on it. It's kind of a win-lose proposition. It will be, yes, I know. Yeah, it will be. Otherwise, the high school league has just been swamped the last 2 weeks with tournaments and stuff that went really, really well, other than the golf fiasco out there with the weather situations, but it turned out okay. Scale?
Yes, I attended Scale virtually, and they had a presenter, I think her name was Molly, and she was talking a lot about a pilot that they did just with some of the mental health components, for, certain districts. And they actually interacted with Shakopee specifically to see if that, what they were doing with the addition of mental health faculty made a difference with the students. That funding fell through, so they can't continue the pilot. One of the questions that came out of that meeting with Scale, somebody, talked about they felt supportive of the fact that, schools can do things on their end, but, why aren't schools trying to figure out, why it gets to that point, what's happening at home. And so we had a pretty good discussion about resources that are available, and the presenter actually was really, I thought, pretty succinct when she talked about the fact that schools have so much time, so much energy, so many staff members, so they focus on what's in front of them. They don't have the tools. That's typically why they reach out to Scott County. That's why they typically reach out to law enforcement or, any other group, because the family dynamic, that's really hard for us to solve as a school district. our primary concern is the kid that's in front of us and what's happening with that student when they're with us during the day. And so it was a good educational component, I think, for the group that was there, because there's always that question, why can't the school figure out what's happening at home? And she put it right back into the court of, they focus on the immediate needs in front of them with the kids. So that was, I think, you know, really a helpful piece. And that was my big takeaway from Skill.
Okay, thank you. Southwest Metro, we met in May. In June, we don't meet. We voted to approve LeSueur Henderson. They had petitioned to become part of Southwest Metro. We put them on it as an associate. Yeah, they'll be an associate member this year, kind of like on trial, like we did with Wasika and the districts down that way that we added about a year and a half, 2 years ago. LeSueur Henderson is kind of a good fit because of their size and their location and their likeness to many of it. Pat Devine was hired to run, he's the former superintendent from Laconia. He was hired to run the C program for Southwest Metro. Otherwise, tons of graduations. You know, they all their different programs have their own little graduation ceremonies, so I've gotten to a couple of them, which are pretty moving. Other than that, it was not really anything too much going on there, I guess, so. A lot of staff changes. Okay, and with that, board reports or board comments, or Sarah, we'll start with you.
When you said, you know, when you said end of school year, right, and how it went great and amazing, it did, and then I just thought, it feels like 5 years ago already. Like graduation feels so long ago, and it's just been a few short weeks.
I know.
So it's amazing on how how quickly we're like, okay, that was an amazing year. Here we are, you know, approving the adjusted budget, the budget for this next year, and here we are. I mean, we just wrapped up school year. We did.
And
So
fall will be
just
here
kinda
in 5
kudos to-
minutes.
what?
Yes.
And fall will be here in 5 minutes.
I
yeah.
know, I know. And then, my only one question that I did have, I know what's gonna be, being sent out to families, the beginning of July. There'll be special communication though, that at least, that will be very specific.
Just for that.
Just for that, that will call out for, I've just had a lot of
Yeah.
people come up to me already
For sure.
asking for, and that'll be a change for
Yeah.
the past 2 years, is people paying for lunches and
Right.
breakfast again, so.
Yeah. But yes, specific to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then congrats to, I mean, again, this seems so long ago, but all of our, everyone who made it, all of our state team members. Wow,
Incredible.
it's been June, all the last few weeks, so that's all I had.
Connie?
I also feel like it was a long time, but a very successful year and very appreciative to our staff. The buildings looked great, the grounds, the night of commencement, it couldn't have been a more shining moment, and always just such an honor to look up into our families' faces and see how proud they are. So really appreciate them and look forward to the start of the school year again. It seems like it's coming around. Pretty soon we'll be planning teacher workshop and be ready to go. So lots of great food at grad parties too. Oh my gosh, still winding down. So I think I have one more left of a Jordan one. And but great time. And it's when they say that the school is the heart of the community, going to the grad parties and seeing people, and especially people that we haven't had a chance to see in a long time. It's good, and it's really proud to see the administration and the teachers at the parties, because I think that makes the kids feel really valued, and it validates the teachers' investment in our students too. So I really appreciate them doing the time for them, and applaud all these senior parents that survived, that didn't think they would, and we told them they would, and they did.
I did, thank you.
Just congratulations to the district as a whole and the staff for a great end of the year, a great graduation. Graduation was awesome. It was so fun, and even though it was hot, I was still comfortable, like, because there were graduations where it was cold and I was freezing, and I would think I would rather be hot than cold, so it was just an amazing night. The weather held out, pictures were beautiful, graduation parties have been awesome. But a big congratulations to all of our sports teams, track, golf, I mean, did trap go? I think trap's going too, so it's like we've got a lot of major
Lots to
accomplishments and a really good athletic season with the 4x8 and the 4x4, and then I think Jill with her hurdles and stuff,
100
and then
hurdles,
Tori and
300.
golf. I mean, it was just amazing. So congratulations to all of the athletes and the coaches as well who work with these students and help them reach their fullest potential.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. Thank you to all the staff and admin that has made this a successful year. Attendance has dropped off at board meetings from the start of the year, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but here we are. So I don't know what that means, but you know, in many ways, I do think, you know, the strategic planning process has been time intensive for sure, but I think there's everything before COVID and post-COVID element to it realistically, and who we want to be and where we're going to go in the coming years. And so it definitely, I think, the conclusion of this school year maybe is a little more special than some in that regards, right? Just like it's hopefully onward and upwards from here.
Great, thank you. Well, I too want to thank the whole staff and especially you, Renee. It's been a phenomenal year, and considering all the challenges that we've had to end up, not only financially in the good spot that we've ended up, but what a wow year. I mean, we've gotten through this pretty unscathed. We've had phenomenal students that have achieved wonderful things at no matter what level they were. Considering that we're new to the Wright County Conference, how well we've done in the conference is just, again, attributed to, you know, our staff and our coaches and the kids. It's just incredible. So thank you for a good year.
Thank you.
We will welcome at the July 11th meeting. We look forward to officially seating Rob. It'll be great having you on board. Thank you for agreeing to do that, Rob. At our next meeting, we'll be doing Pride Awards for our track and our golf kids. We'll be holding off, I believe, for track until
Trap
until August. The breakfast, end of the year breakfast was great. Our food services people just did a phenomenal job. Thanks to everybody that made graduation so wonderful. I want to especially thank Tim. It's been fun working with him all these years. You know, he was here when we did all this, and so Tim will be missed. We wish him well in his new adventure. Godspeed to our Peru kids and our wrestling kids that are on the road right now. Hopefully they'll get home safe and have a wonderful trip. And then my husband and I attended the Nickel Open benefit on Saturday, and it was really moving. They talked a lot about the Jordan District, and they had a speaker from NAMI, and they had some parents that spoke that have lost kids. And they talked about how working with the district, bringing in speakers, and Ben actually got up and spoke and was one of the speakers also. And it was just very moving to hear I mean, they're really getting to be a big organization, benefit organization, and to hear their connection with our district was just very heartwarming, very good. So, with that, I think that's it unless anybody else. Rob, did you have anything you wanted to share?
No, I think I'll echo what everyone else said. I mean, it's been a great year. There's been a lot of, I'd say, just kind of looking from kind of afar and observing that there's definitely been a few curveballs thrown your way. I think that the greatest thing that the district has, though, is that you have a really good kind of, you know, kind of north kind of principal direction that really kind of guides kind of decisions. And I would just kind of encourage kind of all of us to kind of continue to go down kind of that path,
Okay,